Hello there everybody, welcome to TTTV F1. You're watching TTL F1 Season 11 Round 16, which takes us to the Sochi Autodrome in Russia. My name is Kieran McGinley and joining me in the commentary box is Andy Campbell. Andy, how are you tonight?
I'm very well, thank you, Kieran. Hope you're doing well yourself. Hello to everybody, whether you're watching this live or watching this back at a later point. Hope you're looking forward and enjoy the action we have tonight. Coming from the Sochi Autodrome in Russia, as you say, just on the tip of the Black Sea. One of the most southerly points in Russia, and it's bound to be an interesting race. 18 turns, 5.8 kilometres, 2 DRS zones, and that very almost now infamous in a good way, turn 3, that continuous left-hander at the start of the track. It's bound to be a very interesting race, and if last week at Monza, when I was last on with you, Kieran, there's anything to go by, it's going to be an absolute barnstormer tonight.
Absolutely. Well, we'll talk about the incident with Squeezy and Onyx. Onyx racing tonight, so he will serve his qualifying ban tonight. Obviously, Squeezy was serving his qualifying ban in the last race. More on that later. First of all, though, we're going to go through the drivers' standings. So Lambo is leading the way at 221 points. We've got Poe in second on 208, Spike in third on 203, Squeezy in fourth on 195. Then we've got Lighty in fifth on 89 points. We've got Siege in 6th on 78, Maze in 7th on 65, Technique in 8th on 62, Ollie is in 9th on 53, Steph in 10th on 46. In 11th is Blizzard, who will be racing tonight as the second reserve, Jay in 12th on 35 points, Z3 in 13th on 32 points, Sean in 14th 28 points, The Gort as a reserve 15th on 24 points, Alan K 16th on 22, Damien in 17th on 18, Onyx, who's racing tonight on 16 points, tied with Clifford on 16 points. Then it's LMFC in 20th on 10 points, tied with Plaster, Weed and Tractor, all on 10 points, and then CSR Hamilton 24th with 2 points as a reserve. For the constructors then, Renault have a slight margin over Toro Rosso in the constructor standings. Renault with 268, Toro Rosso with 253, McLaren not very far behind on 251, they're in third place. Sauber in fourth place on 233, and it's a bit of a drop then to Williams on 131, they're in fifth place. Haas are in sixth on 101, Ferrari in seventh on 99, Red Bull are in 8th on 68, Mercedes in 9th on 64, Force India are 10th with 28 points. And Andy, you were saying about the we were doing a sound test earlier on because I've been fiddling around with the sound settings, but you seem to have a good knowledge of the Sochi Autodrome, Andy, so I'm going to let you take this away.
Yeah, no, I've done a quick wee bit because for any of them in the chat as well, I've actually got a wee teaser for you shortly, but I'll come to that in a moment. But yeah, Sochi Autodrome, 5.848 kilometres, 18 turns, 2 DRS zones, as I mentioned. Obviously, the first Russian Grand Prix at this venue was 2014 in October time, just after the Winter Olympic Games had taken place that year, and that was won by Lewis Hamilton, his first of 3 wins at this track. Obviously, his latest one was this year with the little implication of team orders, if we all remember that, with Valtteri Bottas, obviously. Other winners at the track, Bottas took his debut win here in 2017, and Nico Rosberg won in his championship winning year in 2016. But there has been 2 other Russian Grand Prix, all the way back pre-F1, the pre-war era, 1913 and 1914, and believe it or not, those were both won by Mercedes as well. So in real life, Mercedes have a 100% record at the Russian Grand Prix. But I'm going to pose the teaser just real quickly. You'll like this one as well, I think, Kieran. We all know that Sochi was the host of the Winter Olympics, and the track goes round the Winter Olympic Park. There is 4 other venues that have been or are on the F1 calendar that have been used as Olympic venues. Now, before anyone jumps in, Melbourne's not one of them. I know it hosted an Olympic Games, but the track didn't host any of the events anywhere within the track's limits. So there's 4 other tracks that have or haven't host, that have or still host F1 races that have seen Olympic action at those tracks. It's bang on that location. So if you can think you know, try not to use Google. Pop it in the chat below and I'll keep an eye on it. But I've got the 4 answers here already. So there's a wee teaser to keep all the viewers going as well. And I love a little bit of trivia, so I can't help myself.
So this is the thing that was missing from the stream of mine. 4 places that have hosted Olympic Games in the exact same places at the track. You see, this is the research that I don't do, so I never thought I needed it. But now look at this.
Well, you missed one last week actually that I threw in a wee cheeky bit as well, just while it's loading up the qualifying. You remember you couldn't help but laugh when I said the person out breaking himself is halfway towards Bologna. You remember that one?
I do remember that one very clearly.
Yeah. Do you know why I said Bologna? I wonder if anyone else picked up on it.
I reckon it's because it's how it's pronounced, because the Americans took that word and no? Okay, then no, I don't know.
Not. It is the closest city or town to the Imola Grand Prix track, another host of the Italian Grand Prix once in its lifetime, and used to be the San Marino Grand Prix. That was the reason I picked Bologna.
Well, all very interesting as we join into a very wet qualifying session. Just having a look at the tyres. It's intermediate, so it's only light rain for now here at the Russian Grand Prix. So this adds a little bit of an element to the race itself. Our weather reporter is there saying light rain. Now, I'm not sure whether that's throughout qualifying, throughout the race, or both. But we'll keep you up to date as soon as we have that information available. If it is a wet race, then we should be seeing some high aero setups, but if it is a dry race, obviously people will be sacrificing this qualifying session now to try and maximise their race stint. So yeah, as it's confirmed then, light rain for both sessions, qualifying and the race then, Andy. We should be looking at some quick times then, at least with the rain inbound.
Yeah, if it's going to be raining for both, it's definitely going to be an interesting race. Just throws an extra little curveball into this proceedings. I can see that Onyx obviously has retired from the session. As you say, he does have his qualifying ban due to what we seen last Thursday at Monza, alongside with Squeezy, who, as you said earlier, took his ban at Singapore on Tuesday night. So he will start from the back of the field no matter what happens. But if it's going to be a wet race as well, then we're going to be in for a very interesting one indeed, and it'll be interesting to see if the track dries up at any point during the race. Also, we've got a couple of cars that have headed on track. We've got 4 cars on their outlaps. We've got Steph, Squeezy, Poe and Lambo are all out at the moment, but they're the only 4 on track just now, so a few of them looking to wait off, maybe hoping it dries up towards the end of the session, while these 4 looking to maybe just get on with things and just get a good idea for how the track is as Plaster heads out as well in the other Ferrari. So definitely going to be interesting, a wet race, and a new first for me as well. I've still to commentate in a wet race because all 4 of the AOR races have been dry so far. So this is a new one for me, seeing a wet race, and it'll be interesting to see how the drivers handle this one. But intermediate so far there for so far, Kieran.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm riding on board with Poe at the moment. Obviously missed the last race because he fell asleep. I can happily say he's alive and kicking and awake for the Russian Grand Prix, but Lambo unfortunately has taken the lead of the championship from him, and in a tight championship battle involving 4 cars of Lambo, Poe, Spike and Squeezy, falling asleep at a race or just before it is one of the last things you want to do when you're in the championship hunt.
Yeah, it's quite a new one of reasons why I missed the race, is falling asleep, so that's definitely a new one that I've heard. It reminds me of an old video that was from years ago, a Robbie Williams video. Remember when it was using the old footage from Monaco and stuff with Jackie Stewart, and the end of it shows you him getting locked in the trailer hut, so maybe something similar, but very new excuse, that one. I'm currently watching Squeezy come round in the McLaren. He looks to be the first one to go, will be setting a lap, I think. So he's ahead of Poe and Lambo at the moment, so I think he's going to be the first over the line, but he's just came through Sector 1 and into Sector 2 just now, so I'll keep an eye on him. Jay's rejoined the session, having lost him for a second, so he is now back in to the session, which is good to see. So we have a full complement of 17 drivers. Obviously Onyx not taking part due to that qualifying ban. I'm going to post in the chat a wee teaser so people can remember it.
Well, Jay, last time out, grabbed pole position when he signed for the TTG team. As you can see, lots of TTG members in the race tonight, but could not convert that to a win. In fact, he got into trouble early on in the race, ended up finishing 8th from having pole position. So we're going to jump on board with Squeezy then as he makes his way towards the last couple of corners. This is turn 15 he's going through, literally tiptoeing around now, and then through turn 16. As you can see, the rain is still falling then as Squeezy heads towards 17 and 18. The McLaren, his teammate of Ollie, behind him, maybe trying to get a tow for his lap towards turns 1 and 2. But Squeezy then comes around the final corner, slides his way across the line, but it was an invalidated lap. 148 there, and Poe's got it wrong. Well, apparently Poe said a 144.5, but on my screen he was off the track, so might be a little bit of a desync issue there. But Poe is at the top of the table at the moment, as there we go. I finally synced back up with him there. A bit of a weird one there, but Lambo then 145.2 as he sets the second fastest time, and Poe has left the session. That could be a reason why he was setting that lap time whilst in the wall, Andy.
It's quite possible. I was still on board with Squeezy typing in the chat, so I completely missed it. There you go, commentator not doing his job again. But it'd be interesting to see. I mean, I'd say I've got no reference to whether that's going to be a good time in these conditions or not. And obviously the lap record was by Valtteri Bottas this year at 135.8, but of course that was in dry conditions. But you know, it's going to take a few laps as Josh in the Red Bull, a 43.5, so a second quicker than Pole in the Red Bull there, so he's jumped to the provisional pole standings. But again, I've got no reference of what's going to be a good lap time, so once we get the first lot of runs under and finished, it's going to be interesting to see where everyone is and then see who can find the extra few tenths to make the difference as Pole rejoins the session. So thankfully for him in the title fight, as you say, and good to see that he's managed to get back into the session as well. Hopefully that's not a sign of anything to come, because that's both him and Jay that have left the session for whatever reason so far already.
Well, there you go, Andy. DRS has been enabled, so we could be seeing the track dry up there as a couple of lap times to go through. Spike 144.3, a Lighty 144.0. You had Plaster there set a 149.5. Still to go quicker, I reckon. Squeezy sets a valid lap time to 145.2. Lambo there setting a 145.221, only 200 slower than Squeezy. And Christopher Bradshaw in the chat asking, do the guys run with equal cars? Absolutely right, they run with equal cars there. Everyone has exactly the same gear setup, whether that's a Ferrari or a Mercedes. I don't quite know, because in career mode, when you first start off, as that is Ollie getting it massively wrong there, going through at turn 3, that's not the way you want to do that. Whether they're based on the Mercedes or the Ferrari is unknown, but they all have equal cars regardless.
Yeah, it's something you do see quite a bit within league racing, so that you can, obviously, it's more about the driver skill rather than the actual car itself. Obviously, you still need a little bit with the setups, and you don't see many fixed setup leagues nowadays, but you know, maybe that could be something for the future. But yeah, definitely everyone, same car, same speeds, even if you're in the Ferrari or a Williams, and that's why, as you know, when you went through the championship standings, Mercedes towards the bottom end at less than 100 points, whereas you've got Renault and Toro Rosso up towards the top end due to their drivers obviously being the quickest. So it gives it a bit more of an equal playing field for everybody, and that's what's so good about league racing. It allows everybody to get involved no matter your skill set. But Lambo looks like he's gone back. You know, no, he's not. He's in the pit. Sorry, I just seen ultra soft tyres sitting on the screen there. I was a bit thinking, is he already gone out and given it a shot? But we could be seeing that very shortly. As you say, DRS has been enabled with 10 minutes to go, so this could be a very frantic 10 minutes coming up shortly here at Sochi.
Absolutely. Well, we saw Squeeze there trying to come into the pits. Now, it's a little bit of an odd pit lane because the track basically segregates itself from the final 2 corners. So if you run too deep, you basically rejoin onto the track and you risk getting yourself a corner cut penalty. We just saw Squeezy there, maybe with the tyres overheating, just sliding out of the pit lane there. As we see, we have drivers there trying to go on a set of Hypersoft tyres, but with a grey background, I'm really struggling to see where my white cursor is, which is a quarrel I raised in the last game, but we'll look past that for now as we jump on board with Plaster, currently one of the only 2 people out on track at the moment.
Yeah, so this is going to definitely be a calm before the storm. I can see that Damien and Steph, the 2 Mercedes, are both out on dry tyres. Damien's on the ultra softs, that's the purple banded tyres, while Steph is on the hyper softs, the pink tyres. So that's the softest and most grippiest ones you can get, the hypers, but of course they are going to wear out much quicker than anything else, of course. So I think we're going to start seeing it, and I think a few of them might just wait to see what sort of lap time the Mercedes drivers make before making it out himself. Lambo's on an outlap, he's gone out in the hyper softs as well, as has Blizzard, Lighty and Josh. So the top two out on hyper softs as well. Damien is the only one who's gone out in the ultra soft, so maybe trying something a little bit different. But I guess if it's likely to maybe be rain for the start of the race, it's going to give people free choice. But of course, depending on how light it is, it could be better to start with the dry tyres. So it's a tricky situation for the drivers, and it's the kind of one where you wish you had a team of engineers sitting on the pit wall being able to tell you everything you need to know.
Absolutely. Then we ride on board with Steph then as he makes his way through 15 and 16 then, as now he makes his way towards turn 17. Obviously with the hypersoft tyres, as you were saying, Andy, the fastest to wear out, but whether it will rain at the start of the race or halfway through it is a real enigma to the drivers in terms of strategy. Now you can qualify on the set of hypersoft tyres and hope it rains for the race, giving yourself free tyre choice of the intermediates or the full wet tyres, or if it's not starting to rain at the start of the race, then a set of ultra soft tyres might last you until the stint and the changeover to the intermediate tyres. So as you see though, lots of drivers on the hypersoft tyres ready to take that risk that it will be raining for the start of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just watching a few of them come through the last sector. The yellow flag was because Josh, Lighty and someone else that I didn't quite catch, unfortunately, were all backing up through the last couple of corners, just trying to make themselves enough space to go for it without catching the car in front. So that's what the yellow flags in sector 3 were for. I'm on board at the moment with Lighty swinging his way through turn 3, take you through the rest of this lap into turn 4, down to 4th gear, and he is coming up towards the end of sector 1, Lighty just now, and into turn 5, and he's run quite wide and got the braking wrong there, and that's probably going to cost him the lap time maybe, but we'll see if he carries on up to the next turn, turn 5. A lot of flowing corners, they might be 90 degrees some of them, but they're definitely flowing, they definitely turn. This is a quick one as well, turn 5, 5th gear through there, and then you're up to turn 10. That's the DRS detection zone just there, and look at the twitching of the steering wheel. I'm on the onboard here, and that steering wheel is twitching. 133.4 from Steph in the hypers, so the track is definitely dry enough, because that's 10 seconds quicker than anything that's been set so far. As Lighty comes through the end of sector 2 and through to the 3rd sector. I'm just going to finish off this lap. Damien up into a 36, he's 3 seconds slower on the ultra stuff, so he's obviously not got the grip he wants. As Blizzard, a 130, where did that one come from? Goodness me. Lighty pulls into the pits, 1 minute 30, 1 minute 31 from Josh. Those times are incredible. Where did they come from?
Well, Blizzard over one lap is pretty much unmatched when it comes to that sort of thing. He has been beaten, but not many times. So he'll be expecting to get pole position, and probably expecting himself to get into the 129s as well. So as you can see, him cutting every single corner to make his way back to the pits as soon as possible. Stretching the rule book as far as it can go there, Blizzard, but well, he's doing it anyway, so we'll let him off.
Yeah, he's definitely pushing it. He wants to get back. He wants a fresh set of tyres on by the looks of it. Yeah, he's completely cutting the track everywhere he goes. I'm watching him now. So he's rushing back to the pits because he knows it's 5 minutes to go. And obviously at minute 30 lap, you want to get into the pits, you want to get out of the pits, and you need to find some space. It might be the 4th longest track in the calendar. But as I've been watching already, through that final sector, they're all backing up and backing up and backing up. And it's just causing a bit of a train. It's the kind of thing you'd expect to see in the likes of Hungary or Monaco or one of the shorter sort of tracks, but no, this last sector's proving very tight and they're all backing up, so he is rushing back to the pits. But it's a Red Bull 1-2 at the moment. Blizzard 1 minute 30.7, his teammate Josh 131, and just as I say that, Squeezy, after his qualifying ban for Singapore, just under 3 times quicker than Blizzard, a 1 minute 30.455, and it is very much going to be a sprint for pole position here. Who's your money on? Do you think Blizzard's got another few temps? Or do you think that lap time from Squeezy, Kieran, could just be the one that you need? Damien's retired from the session as well.
Well, it's obviously a bit of a spanner into the works for the top four, as we see Squeezy on provisional pole position. You've got Poe there down in P9, Lambo P12 and Spike in P11. Of course, they're really all yet to set a proper dry lap, but the longer the session goes on, the more grip is laid down. But that's all dependent on how many cars set lap times as well. So they're really playing it fine here to try and get the track as grippy as possible before they go out and set a lap time.
Oh, sorry to cut across you. Spike, just been watching him coming through sector 3 into the wall on the outside of turn 16. He's out of the session. He's lost the wheel and he's sitting in the middle of the track. It'll be cleared now on your screen, but Spike into the wall. He was on his fast lap and he has put it in the wall, and that is him out of the session. Sorry to cut across here, but Spike puts it in the wall and he is out of the session there now.
That's absolutely fine. I wish you just picked it up on the stream there, as Squeezy runs a little bit wide coming into the pit lane entrance. Yeah, the one thing that's a little bit annoying is you can't ride on board with retired cars anymore, so I'll never see the damage there, and neither will the stream, but that's a secret you can take to the grave, Andy. One to talk to Spike about, otherwise I'd have never picked that up.
Yeah, you'd be hoping I'd never seen that, but unfortunately Spike did, sorry mate. But it just looks like he just got it wrong. Before coming up to the last two corners, you just come out of that twisty section where it's right, left, left, right, and then coming through the last right hand corner, I don't know if he just caught the curb and it pushed him wide or something, but he went straight into the wall on the outside of that turn just before the last two corners. So that's him out of the session, and it means that both Salvas are going to be starting towards the back of the field, because obviously Onyx, of course, on his qualifying ban due to the actions and situation that happened at Monza. So 2 minutes to go, and I think it could be whoever's last across the line and doesn't make a mistake. Obviously, you know, you don't want to make a mistake, but if nobody was to make a mistake, it could just be the last driver over the line will take this one. As you say, the track's going to grip up more and more. Who will it be? Plaster's retired from the session as well, so he decided he doesn't want any more of this now.
Absolutely, we've got Ollie there on a set of Hypersoft tyres, 2 lap old Hypersoft tyres as well, so he's probably gambling for a wet race. We've got Lighty there backing off completely, so he is well, he was on a lap but ran wide and probably got his lap time invalidated, so it's backed off, as you can see, by the battery. Meanwhile, Mays here is coming towards the final two corners of 17 and then through 18 here. Now, what sort of time can he set? Always loves to leave it very late to set a lap time, and it was invalidated. It would have been a 140.3, which would have put him into P9. But he's got to go again with another set on those Hypersoft tyres. LMFC comes across the line. He's going to start a flying lap with 53 seconds to go. And we've got to watch Blizzard and Josh then. Here comes Blizzard across the line to start his lap with 46 seconds to go. Josh isn't too far behind. He'll make it to the line there. Got to watch out for Squeezy though, because he's coming towards the... I believe this is turn 13 and 14 with around about 30 seconds to go. He should make it. Should make it with enough time there. We've got yellow flags in sector 3 up ahead. They're green now, so that was probably a car just trying to create a gap here, as we see Steph on a flying lap, as well as Poe. Lighty there with 20 seconds to go. That was the car ahead of Squeezy. Squeezy, thank you. I was drawing a blank there. But Squeezy coming around the final corner, and look at this, across the line with 6 seconds to go. That is a huge advantage he's already got there, and the checkered flag will fall any time now, and I believe that was Jay there. He has mistimed it, so he will not be able to...
yeah, Poe's the last one over the line.
Time that to perfection, Poe. So he's got a really good chance, and Squeezy's into the wall at turn 2 on the right-hand side. That's a very weird place to lose it, but, well, he's out of qualifying then, so he won't be able to better his time with a track that's getting quicker and quicker. So Poe there on a flying lap. We've got to watch out for Blizzard as well, as he's making his way around the final few corners now, heading it down towards turn 17 and turn 18 as he clips the wall on the left hand side. Could have thrown him off balance as he turned in for turn 17, but he'll come across the line now, sliding the car across. It was a 1:29.0, but it was invalidated. So now Josh has a chance here to try and grab pole position, currently on a 1:31.4 as Steph retires from the session. Then here he comes around the final corner as he makes way towards the line, and Josh grabs provisional pole position, 1:30.1 from VSR Josh there. Here comes Light E then on a lap. He's currently 7 seconds up, but he set his last lap time when it was raining. Here comes the German then across the line. It's P7 for Light E. So looks like, where is Lambo out on track? He is currently flying through the last couple of corners, so we'll keep an eye on him as he makes his way around the final corner then towards the line, and it's P2, not quick enough. So then the last person is Poe. Can Poe do anything? No, he can't. I don't think he could anyway. No, he doesn't grab pole position. So then VSR Josh is the pole sitter for the Russian Grand Prix.
Yeah, definitely. So I was watching Poe there, just cut away because he was the last one over the line. He got 4th place, so as you say, not enough for Poe. But that was a bit of a frantic bit. Blizzard, as you say, it was a 1:29, but it was an invalidated lap. So you say it's Josh on pole from Lambo and Squeezy, Poe in 4th and Blizzard in 5th, and a few of the championship protagonists up there at the top end. It's bound to make this interesting. 6th was Z3, Clifford in 7th in the Force India, Ollie in 8th, Lighty was 9th, LMFC rounds out the top 10. But yeah, 3 of the championship protagonists, 2nd, 3rd and 4th, with the 2 Red Bulls sandwiching the 3 of them. Now the interesting question is, what's the weather going to be like for the start of this race? Will they have to start on those tyres, or will it be wet enough that they have to go for intermediates? We're about to find out.
Well, here's the interesting thing. I've not brushed up on that rule set, but Spike set his lap time, his best lap time, on a set of intermediate tyres. So it'll be quite interesting to see if he has to start on those intermediate tyres. As you can see, the rain is falling. So we'll have to wait and see whether he gets the option of a fresh set of intermediate tyres, or whether he has to start on the set he set his lap time on. Oh, but that completely overwrites it because he finished 14th, didn't he? So that answers that question for me. So yes, he will get a fresh set of intermediate tyres, but he's got his work cut out for him as he makes his way through the field. You've got Onyx there as well with a qualifying ban. Doesn't start in last place, so that's the thing with the qualifying ban. If you play your cards right, you can actually not start last. So it'll be an interesting one for everyone involved. And well, we see Blizzard there. I believe he was was it P5 you saw there, Andy?
It was, yeah, it was P5 on the standings, and it was his teammate Josh obviously at the top, so not what we would expect. As you say, he would have been the only one in the 29s if it hadn't been for that.
Absolutely. So we make our way then on the formation lap, and the Red Bull of Blizzard doesn't want to hang around as he leaps from his grid box there. So then Josh, I believe, hasn't scored any points, and that's because he's new to the series. So what a way to make your TTL debut, by grabbing pole position. However, we saw Jay do that last time, and it was a curse rather than a help. Today he starts from the back of the grid. So, well, it's been an interesting week for Jay, but he'll be hoping to at least get a driver of the day performance, maybe a couple of points on the board as well. Let's have a look at our championship rivals then. Lambo is leading the field. He is leading the championship, so this is the next best thing from pole position for him. Squeezy is behind him, who is in 4th place in the championship. He's got quite a few points to make up from last time out after his qualifying ban. Poe, who is awake for this one, he is P2. So missed the last race, has got it all to do to try and grab as many points as possible. He currently lies, I believe, 13 points behind, so well, he's got to outscore him by 13 points to take the championship lead, and having the championship lead at this point with only I believe it's 6 races to go now is all the more the advantage. Spike, meanwhile, 3rd place in the championship, finds himself down in P14, so crashing out of qualifying will not have impressed him at all. He's going to have to fight hard to get some good championship points behind him and to keep his title championship alive. He is 18 points behind the championship leader Lambo, so quite a few points to make up, but Spike is up to the task. But it's all about dispatching the early cars as quickly as possible, and he knows that will be the most important priority he has then. as we see Josh making his way towards the grid then. Not a bad way to make your TTL debut then, leading the pack. But how will we fare going into turn 2? As you were saying, Andy, this track is an interesting one. Turn 1 isn't the main braking point, which is so rare on the Formula 1 calendar. It's actually turn 2 is. So it's always an interesting one. Plenty of runoff on the left-hand side, and be prepared for a lot of drivers to use it. It's what normally happens even in real Formula 1. So we get ready now. Of course, the Russian Grand Prix brought to you by weakwifi-solutions.com. If you need any help with your weak Wi-Fi, visit them. Get all the tips and tricks. And also by fatalgrips.com. Use the code TTL F1 at the checkout for a 10% discount off your entire order. For now though, we are getting ready to knuckle down for the Russian Grand Prix then. Here we go, counting up 5 red lights. Round 16 is underway, and what the start's like, you've got to get the traction right as you make your way from the wet grids here, and you can see Lambo has got a better start than Josh now as they head through turn 1. As we head now down towards turn 2, we've got a car into the wall, carnage in the background, absolute carnage, as that's 3 cars out of the race. And surely we must see a safety car, surely. Poe has been taken out, Onyx, Clifford and Z3 all along that turn 1 straight there.
It looked like Z3 coming through turn 2. I don't know what turn 1, sorry, I don't know what happened. He went completely off to the right hand side and just flied into the wall and obviously bounced back across the track and took out everyone else. We're missing Onyx, Poe's out of the race. That's got implications for the championship, as you say, and Lambo's jumped into the lead ahead of Josh as well. So Onyx, Poe, Clifford and Z3 all out of the race as Lambo leads. He's got Josh right on his tail. Blizzard has made it up 2 places already. Squeezy dropping down a place. The big gainer there is Jay, starting 17th and last. He is now 5th already after all of that carnage. He's made it right the way through the field, and that is a fantastic start, but it's just not what you want to see. You hope that everybody makes it through turn 1, and although turn 1's pretty much flat out, it didn't happen. It looked to be quickly catching it, and Z3 just, I don't know if he just spun it up with the wheels and he ended up in the wall and bounced across the track. So 4 cars out already. Frantic start.
Absolutely. Well, Spike as well has been trying to make his mark, but he's into the wall there. He's really made his mark on that wall, that's for sure. I don't know if he's got any front wing damage, but he's up to P7, and Ollie is now out of the race here, and he's got it wrong coming into turn 13 and hit the wall. So we've had 5 retirements. Well. Damien's out as well.
He's just
6 retirements in the very first lap, catching a lot of people out, and we're down to 11 runners in the very first lap. Absolute carnage, Andy.
Definitely. So both Ferraris are coming into the pits and tail to tail. Lighty's got front wing damage. Plaster's got issues. Steph got 5-second penalty for corner cut, and he's in the pits as well. I think he's got damage. But yeah, Damien ran wide just coming to the end of the long straight into turn 13 into the wall. I was trying to figure out what happened to Ollie when I was watching Steph, and he just went and got it wrong. And back up now with the leaders though. We've got Lambo and the 2 Red Bulls, so it is a Red Bull family fiesta up front. They're keeping up with all the podium places. So I trip over my tongue, and it is nose to tail. There's less than a second between the 3 of them. Blizzard, as you say, obviously one of the quickest ones in qualifying. Josh on his debut, and Lambo's got championship consequences to think of. So if Josh sticks up the inside, does Lambo want to risk shutting the door on him, considering he's in the championship hunt? As Josh looks to the inside into turn 10, he's not able to get it done, but it's now the long blast down the curved straight, so it's 11 and 12 technically, and we've got the 3 of them running nose to tail. Will anyone have a go into 13? Blizzard pulls out of the slipstream. Lambo takes the normal racing line, and he's managed to hold it for now, but these 3 are all over it, and it is just going to be absolute mayhem. And it's touching there. Joshua caught Lambo, I think, just gently, and that's allowed Blizzard through up the inside his teammate. Lambo's got a bit wide there, and Squeezy's got the box off the seat as Lambo slides wide there, and he's lost the lead, and he's about to lose second if he's not careful. But Blizzard up into the lead as Lambo squeezes Josh wide, and it is frantic stuff, and Lambo is Squeezy is catching him up as well, and I'm tripping over every name under the sun as it goes.
Oh, after a start like that, Andy, I think you could be forgiven. Then here they come through turn 2 then, and down towards turn 3. Lambo and Josh are going to battle it out, going into turn 2 and then through turn 3 as Lambo has to take to the escape road, and we'll have to give that position up to Josh then, but he's got to be careful because there comes Squeezy round the outside, and now Squeezy finds himself up into the podium places, but he just about held on to that car there, wanted to lose the back end going through turn 3, and that's the last thing you want that car to do then. So Blizzard then, normal service resumes for him as he takes the lead of the Russian Grand Prix. His teammate Josh is in second place there. Squeezy getting in front of Lambo, and that will help his championship standings then. Jay is in 5th place there. As you say, best of the starters there. Absolutely fantastic from Jay. I'm not quite sure how he got through that carnage starting P17, but he did. LMFC is in 6th place. Maze is in 7th. Lighty is in 8th place, having to stop early. Spike down in 9th place. He's also had to pit in. Steph rounding out the top 10 with Blaster there, the last of the runners, in 11th place. And we're going to jump back on board with the leaders then, because Blizzard and Josh have nothing to lose here in this championship battle. Obviously Blizzard has scored 40 points in this championship, but he's out of the championship hunt, obviously as a reserve driver. So these two have nothing to lose, so they'll throw everything at each other, and I can't wait to see it.
It's definitely good. Josh looks like he's ran wide there. It's going to allow Blizzard the chance to go round the outside possibly. Camera's not changing. I can't see who's where, but no, Blizzard manages to get back ahead. And yeah, as you say, these two got nothing to lose. And Josh, 3-second time penalty. You just seen him cut the second last corner there. So that's his 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. And you see him just sliding all the way down the straight. And look out for LMFC as well. He's now got a 3-second time penalty again for multiple warnings. Jay's in the background there. Lambo looks to have a run on Squeezy. He's gone to the inside, and because he got the move done into turn 2, it looks like it. Squeezy tries to hang on round the outside, but that place he made up going round the outside to turn 3 last lap, he's lost it back to Lambo down at the front straight into turn 2, and obviously with the wet conditions at the moment, no DRS under that, so that was just pure grunt and slipstream to get past the McLaren there for Lambo. So that's him back up into P3 as Josh has a look down the inside of Blizzard at the end of sector 1. Lighty with the fastest lap, and the Red Bulls are side by side. I'm on board with Josh, and he's through into the lead of the race one more time, gets it done up the inside. Lambo drifting his way through. You must think he's a hoonigan there, taking the inspiration from the rally drivers, and it is just go, go, go once again. I seem to know how to pick these races, because Monza was like this as well.
Absolutely. Well, Monza had its drama, and Sochi has had its drama as well, as Z3 is trying to explain what happened from his point of view in the chat there. We're just going to keep one eye on that and one eye on the racing in front of us. Well, Z3 said that he was sorry, saw Poe being a little slow, went for position and got a small slide on the back end and couldn't avoid the wall, and of course that wall on the right hand side there catapults you back into the pack, so really nowhere for anyone else to go. So well, you decide what happens there. But Jay, looking at this, is trying to cause some championship upsets here. He's right on the back of Squeezy, and of course, like we say, he started from the back of the grid, somehow made his way through the carnage with no damage whatsoever. I'd love to see his onboard of lap 1 and how he made it through, but he's right on the tail now of Squeezy as we come through turn 1 now, right on that rear wing in the slipstream. And this rain looks like it's easing up, but Squeezy for now then holds on, but he runs deep into the corner, locks his brakes there, and that looks like the perfect opportunity for Jay to try and go round the outside. Gives him a good line round the outside into turn 3, and Squeezy, making that move earlier in the race, has that exact move done to him, and Jay then moves up into P4.
Yeah, lovely move there by Jay. He could do his teammate Poe a lot of favours by getting ahead of Squeezy and Lambo. Obviously Poe is leading the championship, if I remember you saying rightly, and obviously he's out of the race after that first lap incident, which took out a good number of the field. So Jay could do Poe a bit of a favour here by taking points away from Lambo and Squeezy if he can keep this sort of pace up. So he may just help, and obviously Renault top of the Constructors' Championship as well at the moment, so with Poe out the race, he needs to get as many points as possible for that championship. championship. The other ones closest, I think, are Toro Rosso, and obviously they're down to one car, which is Lambo, who is just in front of him with Z3 out. And I've seen it in the chat as well, Z3 saying what happened. I did think I'd caught the Toro Rosso being the one to hit the wall first. Shame to see that happen. Took out a good number, but that's just how things go, unfortunately, sometimes. But Jay, brilliant start. Starting to settle down a wee bit now, though. Bit of a gap between each. The second to the front two. Lambo's a couple of seconds back. Jay's a second or so behind Lambo, and Squeezy's already dropped to 1.7 behind Jay, even though he just passed him at the start of his lap. So it's a good few gaps between them. It looks like they're just trying to settle down and maybe make these intermediates last as long as possible in case it does dry out, because of course in the rain you don't have to make that mandatory pit stop to change tyres. So if they can make them last to the end, then obviously that could put them in a good position if others decide to pit.
Yes, we see a lovely camera angle here of Josh making his way through turn 3 and losing, I think he lost that back end just slightly, may have been the folly of the camera there, but you can see Blizzard there only 6/10 back. Of course, you were saying, Andy, about the tyre wear around this track. It is an interesting one. Pirelli have brought tyres this year that wear more or wear quicker than their predecessors. Obviously, you could run the medium tyres around here to the end of the race. That's how little graining there was. But with the intermediate tyres, you maybe might have to make one stop. I'd say it would be a good case for a no stop on a set of wet tyres, but intermediates I think wear just a little bit too quickly, especially with the changing track conditions. Here comes Jay though, coming through turn 10 there, and trying to get into the slipstream of Lambo. And I'll just have to correct you, Andy, it's actually Lambo leading the championship, so he could do his teammate wonders here if he can try and get in front of Lambo and reduce that deficit that Poe is going to lose by just a couple more points there. We now head through this S section here, coming towards turn 15. It's all about traction in sector 3, and how good are your rear tyres. This is when they start to wear out and be a little bit of a nuisance there as Steph comes in on a set of soft tyres. So that is a very interesting call then, as Blizzard has got in front of Josh off camera. He takes the camera pole away with him to try and make that corner. So we might not get a camera angle there anymore, but at the cost of a great battle, I don't think I'll mind that too much. Blizzard then trying to hold off Josh as best he can. Josh now going down the inside of turn 2. No, he can't. So Blizzard then holds on to the lead of the Russian Grand Prix. Further behind them then, Lambo is still trying to hold off Jay for now, but Jay now coming towards turn 3. And who has the better grip there? You can see them both taking the outside line there. Now the outside line will be the part where the track is wettest, so that will keep the intermediates cool for now, especially if the rain's starting to stop. That is where the line you would have to take to keep those tyres cool. But here comes Jay then, having a look in the mirrors then, filling that that Toro Rosso mirror with a bit of yellow and black as he loses that back end just very slightly on the exit there. Lambo just about holding on, and this is where the championship implications start to take into effect. Do you battle Jay and lose 3 points, or do you try and battle him, risk losing the car, hitting the wall and losing all the points you've gained so far?
No, definitely so, and I've just been watching part of the lap from Steph's outlap on those soft tyres. It is not the right time for those tyres, I don't think, slipping all over the track. In fact, when you can see the camera angle in the background, the leaders, two Red Bulls, the Blizzard and Josh, are catching that slick-shod Mercedes, which is drifting. You'd think Ken Block was at the wheel of that one. It is definitely not the time for yellows as he stays well out of the way of the front two. Basically parks it up, and he's now a lap down. Spun it, that could be problems. Oh, Lambo's just missed him. He tried to get away again, he spun it coming out. I'm just going to keep an eye in case anyone catches him, because they're all coming through, but it looks like he's ghosted. But it's not the time for soft tyres. It was a brave move, but it was just far too early to go on to the soft tyres, and I think he's got nothing to lose now. He might as well just stick at it, but it's going to cost him a lot of time. That lap's already over 2 minutes 30.
Here comes Jay then into the slipstream, having another look into turn 2, but just not close enough to make a move just yet. He's got to focus on the exit and going through turn 3, and this might be the move here. Lambo got a little bit out of shape then, and Jay going up the inside takes the podium away from Lambo in these early few stages, and helping out his teammate to a T here by taking that third place away from Lambo. Maybe Lambo in the end decided it's not worth the battling, but Jay here could have a battle opportunity opening up with Blizzard and Josh, especially if those two start battling. And as it starts to quiet down, Blizzard is still leading the Russian Grand Prix. Josh is in second, Jay in third there, Lambo in fourth, Squeezy in fifth, LMFC in sixth, Maze is in seventh, Lighty in eighth, Spike down there in ninth place with Plaster in 10th, and Steph on the soft tyres, the last of the runners. It was interesting, Andy, earlier on in this race with that carnage taking out 4 or 5 cars there. I think it was 4 actually, with 2 others retiring on the same lap later on. It's amazing how we didn't see any sort of safety car.
No, I was quite surprised at that, especially with, you know, cars strewn across the track, especially in the first incident. As you say, it took out 4 of them in the first go. I was very surprised no safety car came out, so it meant it kept going. There was no need for the Mercedes SLS to come out, but yeah, I was very surprised at that, to be honest. Lambo is playing the long game, I think. He's already dropped a second and a half behind Jay. That Renault looks absolutely lightning so far, but the quickest lap of the race so far is a 1:46.6 from Spike, and the only other one in the 46s so far is Lighty, so 8th and 9th for the quickest lap so far. Jay's the nearest to that. He's just set a 47.0. That Renault does look pretty quick though, and it won't be long, I think, before he's up with the leaders. He's 5.4 off the lead, but I can see that gap coming down pretty quickly if he keeps this pace up, and he'll be right up with those Red Bulls before long if he keeps this going.
You can see the sun just poking through the clouds there as we're running on board with Jay through turn 3, so well, we could be seeing the track dry up, and that would add a little bit of an element to the race then. Obviously no safety car has meant that the gaps have been allowed to increase the way they have, but still pretty close between the top 4, as that is Lambo going very wide there on the exit of turn 7. Through 8 and 9 there goes Jay as he tries to make his way towards top 2. We may have 11 runners, but this race is far from over. If you remember seasons back, I believe it was season number 7, we had 11 starters for the Italian Grand Prix, and the wet conditions provided one of the best races of the season. And with 11 runners, it gives a chance for those not normally in the points to try and score some points. With Plaster there running in P10 there, this could be a great opportunity for him to get some good points for himself and for Ferrari, and also for LMFC as well. He needs some good points. He's there in 20th place on 10 points. Of course, a mid-season driver with the Force India, but this would be a massive boost to Force India if he can finish in the position he is. Obviously, his teammate Clifford out in that first corner crash, so he's looking to try and bring home some valuable points for Force India as they look to make a late charge towards 9th place in the table. They have a long way to go though. Force India have 28 points. The next cars ahead of them are the Mercedes. They're on 64 points, so they have a lot to do. But currently the only Mercedes running out there is Steph, and he's running in 11th place on those soft tyres. So still all to play for in this Constructors' Championship, especially in the midfield, at the top and further down the pack. Battles happening everywhere in the Constructors' Championship. Lap 10 of this Grand Prix. Blizzard leads the way from Josh and Jay. That is your top 3 so far for the Russian Grand Prix.
Yeah, this is obviously back in the days when it used to just be the top 6 that scored points back in the 90s and the early 2000s before it all changed. That kind of first lap incident was what the smaller teams looked for to try and gain points. You remember Mark Webber, if most people remember when he made his debut.
Sorry to cut you off there, Andy. That looked like Blizzard hit the wall there, coming out of or going through turn 11. Now I wonder if he's got any front wing damage there. It was hit it on the around about the right hand side it would be, so if he's got any damage that's where it would be. But I think looking at it visually, I think Blizzard's a very, very lucky boy there.
Yeah, it doesn't look damaged to me. I'm just watching him coming through the last sector now. I'm just trying to get a better glimpse of that wing. it looks pretty much intact. He is carrying on, so if he has clipped the wall, he has definitely got away with that one there for sure. And he'll definitely want to be careful. The rain's still falling down, but as you say, the sun is poking through as well, so this could change very quickly. And if it does change within the last few laps, it's going to be interesting. Who stays out and chances it? Who comes in and chances it? Could be a very interesting point to see. Steph is still trying to go around on those soft tyres, but it's just still not happening. He's still only got 49.4 as his fastest lap, so it's still not the right time. And he's just obviously going round now, trying to keep it going. But yeah, the chance for some of them to get the points. So obviously 2002 Australian Grand Prix, Webber made his debut in the Minardi and obviously got 5th place in the points. 2 points was like winning the championship for them that year. Obviously it now goes down to 10 places for points, but it's still a chance for those who are not got as many, or usually just outside or fighting top 10, to gain some points in the championship. Steph comes into pit lane and he's going on to... Is he changing tyres? Let's just see. He's got a 5-second penalty. I'm actually watching it. It looks like he's got hypersofts. Yeah, he's put on a set of hypersoft tyres, so he's got nothing to lose. So he's going to be the benchmark for everyone else if they can realise what tyres he's on. I'll need to keep an eye on his lap times moving on. But it's lap 11, 2.2 seconds between the Red Bulls. Blizzard leads Josh. Jay unable to keep up, so he's still around about 5 seconds back. So as much as he had quick time in the start of this race, he's about the same level as these Red Bulls, so he's not making much inroads to them. Lambo's dropped 2.5 seconds back after Jay's got by him. He's in 4th, and Squeezy is in 5th place, but he is about 7 seconds back. He's got LMFC for company. I'm just going to jump back and have a wee look at them. Yeah, LMFC is right behind Squeezy, so I just need to keep an eye on they two, because that is the closest battle on track just now as the Force India slides its way out of turn 16 heading towards turn 17. Will he be able to get close enough here? Down the front straight to have a go at Squeezy, and again, like Jay with Lambo, LMFC gets very sideways there, but like Jay with Lambo, does Squeezy fight it off? Or does he think of the long game, considering he's in that championship battle?
Absolutely. Well, Squeezy is 4th place right now in the driver's standings, as Blizzard there gets himself a 3-second time penalty. Add that to the list, Andy. But Squeezy, 195 points. And if I try and work out the quick maths in my head, he's currently at 26 points off of Lambo. So a race win here with Lambo retiring still wouldn't be enough. So the fact that Squeezy's behind Lambo is not going to do him any favours whatsoever in the championship. That's LMFC into the wall. Lost the back end coming out of turn 5 and has lost a huge chunk of that front wing there. He's going to have to come back to the pits, Andy.
Yeah, definitely. I said Jay there. I meant to say LMFC. I've got my names mixed up one more time. But yeah, just sliding wide on the exit and front wing damage. You can see it on the screen. It's to the front right off the car. He's lucky not to have lost a wheel in that and put him out of the race. He looked like he was catching up pretty well to Squeezy. Maybe just pushing a wee bit too much when he started to see that orange McLaren right ahead of him and just tasting the chance of another place, just maybe pushing too hard maybe. And the 72 machine is going to be heading for pit lane, but it'll be interesting to see what tyres he puts on, and even if he does go back onto the intermediates, what kind of lap times he sets, because they're going to be fresh intermediates if he does go onto inters. So we'll need to keep an eye on that. He could come back through pretty quickly in terms of gaining some of the lesser penalties later on, as he does head into pit lane just now. But that's a reprieve for Squeezy. He's going to be able to now just concentrate on hitting his apex, he's hitting his braking zones and keeping that McLaren on track, because even if he can't close up, he's now nearly 9 seconds behind Lambo. Better to finish in 5th place than to not finish at all.
Yeah, I'm looking in pit lane there. LMFC has looked like he's put on another set of intermediate tyres, and with a possible transition window on the way, that's the last possible thing he wanted. With lots of the drivers, if a transition period was to come, that they would have to be either going long or taking the risk, taking the plunge and putting on another set of intermediate tyres. Now, the pit window for these intermediate tyres will have opened now. So expect to see some of the front runners start to come in, but LMFC, after replacing his front wing, has dropped to 9th place, which is a little bit of good news in this sea of bad races for Spike here. That puts him up into P8. He's currently chasing down Light E in 7th place. And the more points the better for Spike. It's these races that can define a season. It's how you recover from your bad form races rather than how well you handle your good form ones. So we'll see how Spike deals with this one throughout the race.
Yeah, it's definitely good, and it is the mark of someone who can make a championship run, as Josh is heading for pit lane. So P2 is decided now is the time to pit, so I'm going to keep an eye on him and see what tyres he goes on to. But assigning a good driver, especially in a championship fight, is being able to take those poor races and still gain some points out of it. So I'll keep an eye here on Josh and see what tyres he goes on to. Lambo's in the pits as well, and that's an unsafe release if that was real, but there you go. But it's another set of intermediates for Josh, and I'll just see what Lambo goes on. He's gone for another set of inters, so they've both decided to play it safe rather than taking a chance, and the Renault crew is kicking it out as well. In fact, no, it's McLaren, sorry, it's for Squeezy, and again he is going for intermediate, so they're playing it safe, those three that have pitted now, and I'll be interested to see if anyone else follows suit. But Blizzard leads lap 14, we're about halfway now. He's got 5.7 seconds to Jay, who's now in second. Josh rejoins in third, but he has pitted. Lambo fourth pitted as well, and Squeezy also pitted, is still in fifth place. So it just shows you how far ahead, due to all the mayhem, the top five had managed to get from the remaining pack.
Absolutely, and you can never rule out a safety car here, just in case someone crashes out of the race. As I've seen, going into turn 3, someone could get it massively wrong, and even when I was racing, managed to flip it onto its, well, upside down. So and still that didn't cause a safety car. So pretty lenient with the safety car at Russia, as we've seen here today. But not over yet though. Lap 14 of this Grand Prix as we reach the halfway mark. We're seeing Spike here now closing in on Lighty. 9/10 of a second the gap is, as the rain refuses to let up and give us a dry period in this race. Race leader then, Blizzard. Into the pits he goes. So I wonder how Jay's going to respond. He responds by pitting as well, but he gets a 5-second stop go for cutting the corner there. Now that will come about if you run wide on the pit lane entrance and rejoin the track. The game thinks that you've
Blizzard's
rejoined.
been held.
Blizzard's been...
He got held up there because of Jay coming in. Sorry to cut across you, Kieran, but that might cost him, depending on how quick Josh has been in the outlap. But I've just seen it there. He got held before being released in the pits as Jay came down. Again, they've both gone for intermediate. Sorry to cut across you there, Kieran.
That's absolutely fine. It was probably more interesting than what I was talking about, as Blizzard then rejoins ahead of Josh, still 4.5 seconds ahead. That just shows you how powerful the overcut is on those set of tyres, even with being held up in the pits. So Lambo then takes back third place. Jay there had to serve a 5-second stop-go penalty in the pit, so he rejoins behind Lambo. Squeezy there in fifth. No change for him, but Lighty and Spike here still locked in battle there. As you see in the bottom right hand corner, that yellow fuel icon has come on for Lighty. That means he is under-fueled to make it to the end of the race. That means he has to save fuel at some point. We don't know how much fuel, but he's got to be saving that fuel at some point in this race to make it to the end.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously the driver's got their own decision, what they feels best in terms of fuel save and fuel strategy. So he's obviously deciding to run a little bit more rich in the early stages to lean it out later on. But just to show you the speed of that overcut and the difference, Blizzard, when Josh pitted, Blizzard was about 2 to 2.5 seconds clear of Josh, and when Blizzards came back out, he was nearly 5 seconds up. So he gained around about 2 seconds in the pit stop phase over his teammates. So as you say, the overcut, very powerful indeed in terms of the pit stop phase there for Blizzard. So that's worked very good for him, despite the fact he'd done an extra lap. So very, very good lap from Blizzard. I'm still keeping an eye on Lighty and Spike, because they're pretty much the closest on the track at the moment, but it still doesn't look like it's anywhere close to being dry weather tyres. But we are around about 10-11 laps to go. That could change very, very quickly indeed, and if it was to dry up enough in, say, the final 5 laps, it could be very, very interesting indeed to see what happens. Plaster's in the pits. He is going on to another set of intermediates. So Lighty and Spike are the only 2 drivers not to pit, and they've gone on to do another. Oh, sorry, Spike has pitted. He's pitted on lap 2, I think it was. But Lighty, is he pitted as well?
He has pitted, yeah. They pitted early on in the race.
Apologies, yeah.
Yeah, they had front wing damage.
Because they've been on those tyres that long.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they've got to make it, so they're making 2 stops, so that's a chance for LMFC to gain a position or 2 positions back at least. May's there 21.7 behind LMFC. That gets him around about 23 seconds. Light E there has got a bit of debris flying off the car there as he was heading through turn 3, and as you can see there, left hand side of his front wing, he's missing a chunk of that end plate there, and that's going to open up the opportunity for Spike then to make a move. So if Light E wanted to stay out longer, that's no longer an option for him. He has to pit in. He's under serious pressure from Spike then as we head out of turn 7 there towards 8 and 9, and you can see now how much understeer Lighty has there, and you can see Spike there trying to go round the inside, which will become the outside for the next corner of turn 10 here, and in what would be the DRS straight here. It might benefit Lighty a little bit to have a little bit of less front wing, especially on the straight here, but he'll start to struggle as we head through to turn 12 and then through turn 13, and after lap after lap after lap, Spike has finally got his way past, although with a little help from the wall, taking away a chunk of Lighty's front wing, and that will be a little bit of a gift and a present for LMFC as he looks to try and make a way past Lighty. Now, might not necessarily know he has front wing damage up ahead, but he's just got to take his time, and is he going to try and move up the inside? He is, so Lighty then has to back out of the move, back out of the position, because LMFC was going up the inside as Spike and Lighty pit in for a new set of intermediate tyres. That'll put LMFC up to 6th place, which is where he was before he lost his front wing. So normal services resumed for the Force India driver.
Yeah, so he's back up to where he was before he made that contact with the wall, as you say. But yeah, didn't quite catch it on my side of things, but wing damage, obviously you could see just how much understeer there was in that Ferrari. But yeah, definitely have to go into the pits, and I'm just following Lambo at the moment. It's just lapped Lighty's teammate Plaster. So the top 3-4 cars have already put a lap at least on the 11th and 10th place cars, and I'll be catching up to lap the rest of the field before long. So the yellow flag somewhere in sector 3, trying to see what's going on there. It's disappeared. But yeah, it's kind of settled down now. The Mercedes is still firing away on those hypersofts, but he's 2 laps down. And Spike there, 3-second penalty for multiple warnings.
But I'll tell you what the yellow flag is for. It's for Steph struggling on the hypersoft tyres. Now, one of the most resilient drivers will not accept that the intermediate tyres are probably quicker. Well, he's still out there on a set of hypersofts. Again, has lost a chunk of that front wing, I believe, on the left-hand side as he comes around now. Yep, left-hand side of that front wing is damaged. But it has been a race to forget for Steph. He's purely in there now to see if one of the top 10 will retire so that he can actually grab a point in this race. I think that's the only reason he's still lapping this track. So very resilient from Steph. He normally doesn't back out of a race unless he stops 9 times, of course. He did in Monaco in season number 9. But don't let me be the one to remind you about that one, as it's a constant joke in this community. But he does hold the record, so take nothing away from that.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the sort of records you don't want to have. I'm sure if I was to be racing, as I said last time out in the commentator's corner afterwards, I'd probably beat it quite easily, even if it wasn't Monaco. That's just how poor my driving is and why I'm better suited to the commentary box. The closest battle, though, on the track does seem to be Spike and Mays, but there's still even 1.9 between those two as well, so it's kind of strung itself out a bit here, and also the wet weather having that effect as well, and it's just kind of settling into a bit of a quiet stage for the moment. It'll be interesting to see if the track's drying out, because to me, on some of the broadcast shots, it's almost like you can start to see a dry line forming. In fact, I'm on board with Spike going through turn 3, and you can see the difference in the coloration of the tarmac through certain parts of the track. So although the rain's still coming down, could it be getting close to the point of needing dries maybe? Who might have a go at it? You think it could be close? Because it's getting there. Spike gets sideways out of turn 5.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those races for Spike there where he'll just want to move on to the next race. He wanted a good result here, but at the moment 7th place is not the sort of thing he wanted, as Squeezy picks up a 3-second time penalty. I'll tell you what though, Jay and Lambo closing up on each other again. Part 2 of this battle yet to be decided. Jay has got the better of Lambo once before in this race, but I think this time Lambo is going to put up much more of a fight here, because he knows he could potentially keep Jay behind him. 1.3 seconds is the gap. The battle of that final podium place. Of course, penalties will have to take into effect after the race, so the full story isn't done when all the cars cross the line, and I'm not sure whether that turn 1 incident will go to the stewards. I highly doubt that it won't, so that's why we call them the unofficial results at the end of a TTR race. The stewards may change positions as Steph pits in from last place, and it looks like he's going on to a set of ultra soft tyres, still determined that the slick tyres are the way to go.
Yeah, and I've got to say that's possibly a new record as well for him as too, because that's him used every set of his dry weather tyres. He's used the softs, the ultra softs and the hyper softs, so along with the 9 pit stops in Monaco, he's now used every set of dry tyres in a single race, along with a set of intermediates. All he needs to do now is come in towards the end and just fire a pair of wets on it just for the sake of it.
Yeah, absolutely, and I wouldn't put him past it for trying it. Having a little bit of fun out there, down there in 11th place. It's one of those races to Steph. He just wants to get to the end and see if anyone from the top 10 makes a mistake and loses a wing, and he'll be able to take advantage. But at the moment, these top 10 look to be in firm control of their cars, although we have seen some of the cars into the wall. Blizzard, LMFC to name 2 of them, but they've only got no damage for Blizzard, and a little bit of front wing off for LMFC, as well as Light E meeting the wall earlier on in this race. Lap 20 then, 8 laps to go. Blizzard leads the way from Josh, and then it's Lambo in 3rd, Jay in 4th, Squeezy 5th, LMFC in 6th, Spike in 7th, Maze in 8th, Light E 9th, Plaster 10th, and 11th is Steph there, currently a lap down on Plaster. And in terms of the overall, he's 2 laps down on race leader Blizzard.
Yeah, so it's just as you say, just hoping someone drops out, and it is always possible that could happen. I'm currently watching Lighty chasing down Maze for 8th place. There's just half a second between them, although the Ferrari just got a bit sideways out of turn 15, I think it was there, coming onto the short straight towards the last 2 turns and getting very generous with the inside curb there through the last corner. Won't be surprised if we got a little bit of a warning for that. So between these 2 and Jay and Lambo are probably the 2 closest ones on track at the moment. But it's going to be tricky. You've got to get your braking absolutely spot on in these weather conditions, but there's definitely a dry line starting to appear through the track, so I'd be interested to see if anyone has a go at it. As Lighty here, I've got the onboard now trying through turn 3, just can't get the power down to catch up to that Haas ahead of him, and he is hoping to get past very soon. Jay trying to catch down Lambo as well, so those 2 battles are the closest ones at the moment. Blizzard still leads his teammate by 7.2 as Lighty to the outside of Maze, and a touch through turn 6 there it was, but no damage to either car. It's just a little bit of wheel tapping, a little bit of a love tap there from the Ferrari driver to the Haas, and he is all over the back of Maze, and he's got 3 lap younger tyres, so he's obviously getting a bit more grip out of them, which is giving him the benefit, and might not be long before he gets past if he carries on the way he is. He's in the slipstream now, he's going to go up the inside into turn 13, but no, Maze is able to cut across the apex and keeps the place for now. That battle is over 8th and 9th, so although it's down the field, battles everywhere you look usually going on, although most of it is a bit stretched out today.
Yeah, absolutely. When 6 cars retire on the first lap, here comes Lighty down the inside. No, thinks again about it, as Jay here trying to close in on Lambo. When you have 6 cars retire on the first lap, it's all about keeping ahead at that point, as Lighty down the main straight got turn 18 absolutely spot on with the rear tyres, as you say, Andy, fresher tyres, able to get away from the corner, but Mays isn't finished with him here. Lighty having to take a defensive line as we head down towards turn 2, as Mays will have a look around the outside, but there's no room for him to go up the inside of turn 2, and Lighty then takes 8th place away from Mays.
Yeah, just as we're saying, he's got the traction on out of the last corner and easily enough to get through, so I'd expect him to pull away from the Haas now, as long as he can keep it on the track and out off the walls. But Jay still trying to hunt Lambo down, still trying to do his teammate Poe a bit of a favour in terms of the championship. Might only be a few points, but a few points is better than none, as Lighty kind of at the moment ruins the fact he's just passed Mays by giving himself a 3-second penalty, which would mean if the race ended now he'd actually be behind them one more time on penalties. But he's pulling away quite quickly, already just over a second, as we see. I'm watching Jay chase down Lambo. You can definitely see a bit of a line, but I just think it's not going to be dry enough in the later stages now to go into the pits, so we're pretty much expecting to see them go to the end now. I'd be very surprised if anybody pits now and tries to dry tyres unless they're further down the field and fancy just having the fastest lap of the race, which is currently held by Blizzard on a 1:44.2. His teammate Josh is his next fastest car, 45.0, so about 8 times quicker as our leader, and it shows you why he's 6.6 clear, and he's probably just taking it easy now because that gap was up to about nearly 9 seconds at one point a few laps ago. Jay still trying to hunt down Lambo, 22 laps done, 27, so we've got 5-6 laps to go now. It'll be interesting to see if Jay can snatch that last step of the podium away from Lambo and take a few extra championship points away as Lambo fights with Squeezy and Spike and Poe for the title of champion for this season.
Absolutely, and a race like this can have serious implications. You want to score as many points as you can. You never really want to wish ill of your fellow rivals, but Lambo want to try and score 15 points rather than 12 and extend his lead at the top of the table, which he will be able to do by the end of the race. Of course, Spike down there in P7, so he'll be earning 5 or 6 points? I can never remember with this new one. 6 points, isn't it, for 7th place. Yellow flags in sector 1, so a deficit as Steph, unfortunately he retires from the session, so well, any chance of any points today for Steph is gone. So as long as you can make it to the end of the race and you finish the race, you will be scoring points today. So that's good news for Plaster then. As you can see, then he's lost it completely then. Rear tyre off, so he's lost the back end and headed straight to the scene of the accident, hitting the rear of the wall there, and very unlucky to lose that rear tyre there. But Steph's day is done, and he will be not taking any further part in this race then. So we have lap 23 then, as we still see Jay trying to find a way past Lambo. And still 0.4 of a second, and these two are just setting themselves up here, maybe trying to save a little bit of fuel for a battle ahead. As you can see here, look on board with Lambo, you can see his ERS battery is around about 88%, and it's sort of around that mark. Meanwhile, Jay is around 30% and is falling. So you can see Jay here having to harvest that energy a lot more than Lambo has, and you can see Lambo deploying that down this curve straight down towards turn 13, and then instantly harvesting it again as he goes through the 90-degree section. A little bit of strategy going on here, but you can't afford to have any more of that slipstream, Andy. Not the slipstream, the wheel spin, that's the one I meant.
Yeah, no, I think when you were meaning there, but you don't want to be spinning the wheels up too much. It'll just eat the rear tyres up, take away the grip that you need to stay on the track, and obviously the chances of putting you in the wall, as much as it's a wide open in some areas and quite a fast track, sometimes those walls are very close and it will easily just spit you out if you're uncareful. And also we've seen that on the first lap through turn 1 when Z3 just got a little bit sideways going up the inside of pole, hit the wall and came back across the track. That's why we've got so many DNFs here. 10 runners out of 17. We lost 4 drivers before they got to the end of the first straight, and then we lost 2 more during the rest of the lap as well. So it's been a very very interesting. I'd love to see some of the onboards from some of those that got caught up in that at a later point after the race. But obviously, it's C3 put in the chat that he got a little bit sideways and put his hands up saying that was because of myself. So fair play to him. And as I say, I don't think the stewards will take that any further. But yeah, Jay is still chasing Lambo down. We've only got about 3 laps to go now, 4 laps nearly. So we're getting closer and closer to the end of this race, and it'll be interesting to see, can that Renault snatch that final podium away from the Toro Rosso, or will Lambo keep the place and further extend his championship lead? Because if I remember rightly, he is in the lead of the championship from earlier on, so I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, Andy, your mic's going to survive the end of this, because it's a little bit crackly at the moment, unless that's my earphones. I can never really tell. Yeah, we have 4 laps to go. Is it 3? No, 3 laps to go. My apologies. Blizzard there, making this look easy in the intermediate conditions. It's a lot more difficult than it seems there. 7.6 is the gap between himself and his Red Bull teammate of Josh there, making his way down towards turn 2. Then it's Lambo in P3 trying to hold off Jay then with 3 laps to go. Can he hold on to that final podium position? Squeezy then in 5th place has had a bit of an under the weather, if you pardon the pun, race. But he'll be hoping to try and get home 5th place and score some points there. It'll be 10 points added to his championship, which is 10 more than Poe is going to be scoring in this race as it stands. LMFC has met the wall once, but currently finds himself in 6th place there and looking to try and get some very valuable points for Force India in their battle as they try and make their way towards a valuable 9th place there. Spike then in 7th. Well, it's been a race to forget for him then. He'll be happy to see or wave goodbye to this Russian Grand Prix track and head to the next race. Lighty there in 8th place. The German in the Ferrari has seen the barrier today. As you can see, that yellow light of the fuel indicator flickering on and off. He's right on the cusp of making it to the end of the race then. Maze is in 9th place there. Currently just about in the points there, and Plaster in 10th place, holding on to that last points position. Now, if he can make it to the end without meeting the wall, he will be claiming that final point. Now, it's interesting to see Plaster there has a yellow indicator. Now, let's have a look at the gap to the leader. You can see he's a lap down, so he can actually go into the -1 laps of fuel there and still make it to the end of the race. So that's why his indicator will be yellow, and he probably won't run out of fuel. So he's actually the lightest car out there in terms of weight of fuel.
Yeah, no, definitely. So hopefully the mic's fixed. I just reconnected it there. It might have been myself sitting in front of the fan a bit too close, because I'm absolutely boiling sitting here in my commentary box booth. Don't know about yourself, Kieran, but it's pretty warm where I am. But yeah, on to the penultimate lap now, and it looks like Jay is just dropping back a little bit from Lambo. He's now just over a second behind, so it looks like he's either lining himself up for a go, or Lambo's just got the measure of him. I've seen Blizzard got another 3-second penalty, so I think he's up to 6 seconds worth of penalties. But Josh has got at least a 3-second penalty as well, I'm sure, so it shouldn't affect the front 2 in the standings at the end of this race, if I've got that right. Lambo and Jay are fighting it out, and I don't think they've got any penalties at all. Squeezy's got at least a 3-second penalty, I believe, but he's far enough ahead of LMFC, who's got a penalty of his own. So I don't see many positions changing unless Jay can harvest up some energy in that battery, but he's only got 14% in it, whereas Lambo's got a full charge ready for this last lap. That's why Jay's closed in so quickly. He's using up the battery this lap, while his Lambo's harvesting it, waiting for this point down the back straight. So he's got that full up battery power now, and Jay, who is on 8% and has got nothing left, just falls away. You can see the difference that ERS management system makes. Roughly around about an extra 120 horsepower, some people say, and it made the difference down the back straight for Lambo there, as he was able to just keep out of the way of Jay, but he's still close behind, and he's managed to get a little bit of charge back, so he's going to obviously try and save it up, I'd imagine, for down this front straight, or will he save up more for the run down the back straight on the last lap? We're now on the last lap. Leader is already going through turn 3. Blizzard 8.5 seconds clear from Josh, and Lambo and Jay just coming over to start their final lap. So we're on the final lap now, the Russian Grand Prix here in Sochi.
Yeah, absolutely. It's now or never for Jay here, and I hope we're not going to see a all or nothing Jay message come over the radio, as we did in a certain year between two Finnish drivers. But looks like Jay here might just be holding the fort to try and claim fourth place, or he's going to try and move around the outside. Lambo here might get a compromised line. This could be Jay's best chance as we head towards turn 5. Surely he's got to go for the move here, but no, he doesn't go for it. Backs out of the move, backs out of any potential move anyway, and stays behind Lambo in front of him. Blizzard, meanwhile, is making his way towards turn 13 for the final time this race, and while the rain has kept on being very light, but light enough for those intermediate tyres, and Blizzard here may not have grabbed pole position, but he was rolling back the clock. It's a season 10 drive, if you like, and it's a drive that made him a champion in the first place. The most decorated TTL driver of all time passes through the final 2 corners then. Blizzard coming around the final corner. He's going to win the Russian Grand Prix as he spins the car over the line. He'll be delighted with that performance there. Josh then making his way around the final corner. It's going to be a Red Bull 1-2. Calls back to yesteryear in modern Formula 1. As Lambo here, I think, is just about going to hold off Jay on track here as they make their way around the final 2 corners. Lambo will have gained 15 points on the nearest rival here, and Lambo crosses the line in 3rd, with Jay putting up a hard fight to the end there, but he'll be claiming 4th place, and that is a much better performance than last time out. Squeezy then managing his race here, and he makes his way around the final corner. He's going to grab 5th place, which will help his championship, but he'll fall further behind Lambo. LMFC grabbing some vital points for Force India. They'll be cheering that one as he spins his way across the line. Common theme here to grab P6. Spike, I think, will be straight on the plane to Japan here as he makes his way through the final 2 corners. He'll be grabbing 7th place, but he'll not be impressed with the race and his performance today. There he goes then, 7th place across the line. Here comes Lighty then, around the final couple of corners. He's going to grab 8th place for Ferrari, and he crosses the line there. And meanwhile, Mays will be the last person to finish on the lead lap, with Plaster there claiming that final point, which is so valuable to him. But Mays there will be coming around the final couple of corners any moment now as we jump back with the race winner and the winner of the Russian Grand Prix. Blizzard rolls back the clock with a performance like that.
Yeah, fantastic performance there. Obviously, as you know, he would have been on pole position without the invalidated lap in qualifying, but starting in 5th, made it up to 1st place, avoided all the drama and the mayhem going on behind and around him as well. Had a good battle with his teammate, these 3, Blizzard, Josh and Lambo, all had a decent battle early doors. But once Blizzard got himself into the lead, he just started to make a gap, just kept it going, just kept it on the track. A wee incident with the wall early doors, as you mentioned, before the pit stops, but he got away with it, and he gained a few extra seconds in the pit stops over Josh. And it is a Red Bull 1-2, and it is a Red Bull family 1-2-3 with the Toro Rosso taking the 3rd step of the podium. There's your standings. Take it away, Kieran.
So your unofficial results then. Blizzard takes the race win. Josh in 2nd. Lambo extends his lead at the top of the table in 3rd place there. Jay in 4th place. Squeezy in 5th. LMFC picks up vital points for Force India. He finishes in 6th place. Spike in 7th, losing ground in a championship battle. Lighty in 8th. Mays in 9th. Plaster 10th, the last of the finishers. Steph there, persistent on those dry tyres there, and well, the rest of the field, Ollie, Damien, Onyx, Poe, Clifford and Z3, we all lost on the first lap, 4 of them in 1 corner. Well, I'll tell you what, Andy, it may not have been quite the dramatic race we had in Italy, but that first lap, we'll be seeing that one again and again and again. We've not seen the last of it.
No, it was definitely, I'd say I'd be interested to see some point of views from a few of the drivers, just to see how much time they had to react, because they wouldn't have had much, I would be sure of. But yeah, definitely the early stages, really interesting, a lot of action going on, especially between the 2 Red Bulls and Lambo and the Toro Rosso. Jay in the Renault coming through from last place. He was fifth after all of that mayhem. He managed to avoid it somehow. I would love to see his point of view, because it would have been like rabbit in the headlights, just put its foot down and just go through the gap and just keep going. But a lovely drive from him. He just couldn't quite get onto the final step of the podium. Squeezy picking up some points. Might help him. I'll let you do the calculations for that, obviously, because with Poe out of the race and he did finish ahead of Spike, so it'll be interesting to see if he's gained anything. But it's a good day for Lambo. He's going to extend his championship lead no matter what. And just quickly, while we're still on this stream, before we do anything in regards to Commentator's Corner, my wee trivia question from the start. I'll give you the answers. Nobody got it right. So obviously Sochi 2014 Winter Olympics, Berlin 1936 Olympics. They had a race at the Avis track, which was basically two autobahns with two big massive bends at the other end. They had the marathon on that. Montreal, of course, on the current calendar. The lake alongside is where they had the rowing. Barcelona, 1992. The start and finish straight was used for the start of the road cycling. And the last one, which people might not have got, is a wee bit of a cheeky one. You remember the old Brazilian track in Rio de Janeiro, Jacarepaguá, or however you pronounce it. I can't pronounce it at all. Obviously now demolished, and they built the Olympic Park on top of it. Some other venues have hosted, but those are the 4 other tracks that have actually had Olympic action happen at them. So there you go, a little bit of trivia for you this evening as well.
Well, they say a good day is learning something new every single day, so there you have it then. Obviously we have Commentators Corner in a separate stream just very shortly, but if you are leaving us, we're sad to see you go. We will have hopefully a couple of drivers in the box with us. Bit of an announcement though, which I'll reiterate in Commentators Corner. On Monday we premiere TTL Classics, where we're basically premiering the race as it happened live. You can watch along, comment on it. Maybe you might know the result already, who knows. But that commentary is from me from season number 8. We'll be going back to the Belgian Grand Prix. So that one was a fantastic race, as I remember rightly, from dry to wet. Oh, sorry, wet to dry, other way around. But that will be live on Monday at 6 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, so hopefully you can join us for that. I will try to be there and try and add my insight. Other dates you should make in your diary. Well, tomorrow is the TTFL, commentated by our very own Steph. He's resilient on the dry tyres. He's resilient in the commentary box, always there on a Friday. Great to see. He'll be taking you through the coverage of that one. And then this coming Saturday, well, we have the Open Cups. Let me just get them up right now. Basically, it's a team battle, which should be absolutely fantastic to see. I don't have the team lineups on me, I'm afraid, right now, but I will try and find them. But it will be, I think 12 teams are involved in all of that, so it's going to be great to see 2 separate cups. You've got the A Logo Cup and the Weak Wi-Fi Solutions Cup as well. I will see if I can find them for Commentators Corner, more information on that. That's on Saturday. Steph will be on that one with a co-commentator, and hopefully, Andy, fingers crossed, you'll be joining me in the box for the Weak Wi-Fi Solutions Cup. So you've got the A Logo Cup at 7 p.m, the Weak Wi-Fi Solutions Cup at 8:30. Hopefully that should be a good one to watch.
Yeah, should be. I'll definitely be in the box with you again. 8:30 for that one on Saturday. The first one was the A Logo Cup, as you say. That's a 7:30 or 7 o'clock start. I'll let you double check that for Commentators Corner. But yeah, it's definitely going to be some interesting racing. Different teams, so it's not just fighting for individual honour, fighting for team honour as well. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on there. But we're going to have Commentators Corner, as you say, in just a moment, see who we can get to have a wee chat and see what we can find out from the race that just happened.
Absolutely, and we hope to see you in Commentators Corner very shortly. Stay tuned, we'll be back in just a second.